It's time for another Dice Tower review with the Chief, Bart Brunscheen.
Hey, it's the Chief from the Dice Tower, and as I mentioned in another video about the solo expansion for Awakening the Bear, 2nd edition, was my White Whale. The Firefight generator, I gotta be honest with you, I'd heard maybe a little blip on it, but I didn't know hardly anything. And this is designed by Gunter Eichert. So let me explain a little bit about what it is. First of all, in the regular game, you've got tons of missions to play. And I always play both sides. So I'll sit down and play a buddy. We'll play, I'll play the Germans, he'll play the Russians, boom, we'll switch it. Either that same night or on a subsequent day. We kind of track, hey, who handled that better, blah, blah, blah. All right, so there's plenty of gameplay in here already. But if you're a diehard and you're playing through these and you're online pulling off the new missions that Academy Games releases, then you're going to enjoy this as well. This allows you to, as it says, generate your own new firefights. And it does something I didn't expect. It makes it competitive. Deck of cards. The cards have, well, let me just go in and show you kind of what these cards have in here. Just know that this is making a firefight and it's a competitive action while you do it, which should keep things fair and honest and make for a very good firefight. Boom, let's go look. Now it's late at night, so I apologize for some of my shadowing. I probably need a few bit more lights on, but I was getting a lot of glare. So first, just to kind of show you a little bit what's in the box. You're going to get, I can't remember, it'll tell me how many cards. 25 cards you're going to get that'll be used in the system. I'll get them out of here real quick, sorry. I ran out of my slick bags, so sandwich bags we're having to do, and we're going to take a look at these in a second. These are little tiles that are going to be for the solo generator, and we'll cover those in a second. And the actual firefight generator. This is the solo mission sheet, which you have when you're normally playing the solo games, but you're going to build that a little bit. You've got a quick reference sheet, and then you're going to have these two kind of what I call the Glory to Rome kind of card sliders. You got this one set of counters that came in with the solo deals. So let me kind of show you, because this is really the heart of it, and I'll cut back to this real quick. Hold on. Okay, the deck is going to be set up into 3 different sets. So you're going to have some Russian cards. We'll get to the German set, and then you've got these special conditions, which I kind of reference. I really like these. Different scenarios will bring these into play, and when you have these come into play, you draw 2 of them. One of which you got to use the upper section. So we might have a night fight or a major assault, or it could be sandy, or it can be freezing out or mud. And then you have to play the other cards. So if I play this card for the major assault, and I get to do its little special rule, which, sorry, I'll zoom in on it later, then I have to play this other one for the event on the flip side. So you have conditions, and then you're going to have very kind of, not identical, but similar decks. And what happens is these decks are going to have things in the upper portion that are going to be related to victory points or special rules and events. And then in the lower portion is the actual troops that you're going to be drawing and putting into play. So when you break out the firefight generator, you're going to have a mission board out. You're going to have your cards out. You're each going to have your player control boards. And then you're going to have these out. And depending on the guideline that you're on or that you're playing, you're going to draw a certain amount of cards from your deck. But to show you how these work, when you're developing a firefight, you're going to get a certain amount of cards. You can shuffle the whole deck and take them in random, or some of the different conditions that are set up for firefights will tell you to pull. In this case, I have 1, 2, 3, 4. And you can even customize this based on how many rounds you want to go and how many cards you want to have in. Just know that the more cards you add in, generally the more complex your firefight's going to be, and that's not a bad thing. And the way this works is when you have a card, I'm going to take a turn and I'm going to play one of my cards. Whoever has the initiative, which is a die roll, will get to play their card first. Then the Russians will play one of their cards. Now, victory points, and that's going to be like here's the special rules. So special rules and events, victory points, and down here is all in relation to the amount of troops or the type of troops you're going to have. So when you're making your decision, you're looking at your cards, I may decide, you know what, I really want to stress victory points. So right off the bat, I'm having to choose that I'm not going to use this rifle squad with this NKVD and the extra cap. But hey, this is a great victory point deal that I'm going to use here, and it allows me to place a Soviet control marker much closer to my own troops. So I come in and I'm doing Russian with a wrong board. Hold on. All right, we got the right board. There were people out there cringing saying, oh, he's got Russian cards. See, Russian cards, and he's not using the proper Russian board. They were cringing, as you should, folks, as you should. All right, back to where I was. So let's say I decided to use this victory point card, all right, and I want to lay that in. So I have the initiative. I'm going to start off. I simply come in and do what I call the glory to Rome, baby. All right, I'm going to come in and just slide this card in, and I've got a victory point card. Boom, the German player is going to lay down one of their cards. Now I may come in and say, you know what, I'm not a big fan of this special rule, but boy do I want this medium machine gun and a submachine gun team. See if I can get in close enough with you on that. And that's a great team, and I want to have that combat team in place. Well, I'm going to go ahead and slide this card right in here. All right, now I may want to hold off later so he doesn't know, hey, what kind of troops am I going to be facing? Or I may want to get some initiative down on victory points. But you can really customize, and as you have more cards in your hand, obviously you got more decisions. So let's say the German goes, and then I come in and I want to do this special event with partisans. It's basically in the second round of this combat turn, I'm going to be bringing out some more Russian troops. And I want to get that in here because, hey, it's a way to sneak in a few more troops on them. Now you can see I'm giving up a mortar squad and I'm giving up some caps. But you know what? I like that little aspect. Boom, the Russian goes. And now I have an option. I could literally lay in more troops. I could come in down here, and if you come in down here, I'll just slide in underneath. But let's say he's placed out some troops that are going to allow him some vehicles. Well, this is going to give me a 2 victory point bonus if I take out some of those vehicles or any kind of crude unit. So I may slide this in, and I'm going to offset it a little bit. So they're literally stair-stepping up. Now, I could have done several things, and if I have a lot more cards, I could have really tricked this out and taken it away or adjusted to what he's doing, or maybe I'm trying to push, hey, I'm really victory point heavy, and you've been laying down some defensive type stuff. And so you really get this give and take in terms of building your firefight. And it's a very unique thing, I've got to be honest with you. Never really had this type of setup with a board game, a war board game. I shouldn't say board game, I keep saying glory to Rome, but a war game. So it's a nice little element that is built in, and it's as simple as this. So it all depends on what kind of firefight are you looking at generating, what's your deck limitation. This is obviously a real simple deal where I just had 4 cards, but you can get into a lot of different stuff here, and then the push and the pull with your opponent. That's how these work. So you also have solo mission generator rules. So if you have the solo expansion, there's plenty of missions there, but you can come in with the firefight generator and make even more. And it's real cool. You're going to do the exact same thing I just showed you, but you'll be doing both sides. So I'm going to set up the Russians, I'm going to set up the Germans, I'm going to put the cards in, I'm going to determine initiative. But then before, we're going to pick a certain firefight, but before we begin, I'm going to roll a random die. I'm going to roll a die randomly, and 1, 2, 3, I think it's the Germans, and 4, 5, 6, it's going to be the Russians. I might have those numbers flip, but whatever, it's the same kind of deal. And I had better make this as even as I possibly can because I don't know which side I'm going to be playing. And that is a great touch to the solo rules. So that's the first thing, is you're setting everything up normally, and then you're going to determine, which side you're going to play. All right, we're looking at the solo mission sheet. Now this has an offensive side and a defensive side, and that's going to be determined by these little cards and a little symbol over here. If it's like a shield, that means it's defensive, and if it's a circle, that means it's offensive. And all you do is look and say, hey, how many circles, how many shields do I have? And you say, well, where in the heck are these coming from? Let me pan over. And the cards that you use in your scenario. So when I was kind of showing you things, let me show you these real quick so there's not so much glare. All right, reset. So here's your mission sheet. Now you're going to notice real quick, the orange will end up laying up here. The green are going to come in under mission orders. And none of these cards ended up having these, but the purple comes on here. So let me explain real quick. Each one of these has a number on it that's going to correspond with a number on a card. So this is card number 1, and it's tile number 1. Same thing down, card number 2, tile number 2, and they're flippable. So if I was actually doing this from the German side, I'm going to have a slightly different mission order. So what this is going to do is allow for some change and some variance in your solo game on some of the default stuff that happens on the cards. Now, if you haven't watched the my solo expansion video, please go watch it because some of this won't make sense, but I want to show you how this is generated because it's real key to generating solo firefights. So again, whatever cards you used to develop your firefight and what you're going to have, these little things are going to match. So let me get rid of these cards because that's about as simple as you can get. But it leaves you with this. Now let's pretend there's a purple one in here as well, just so I'll be able to show you. So in comes this card, and we've already determined that we have more circles. All right, I have 1, 2, 3 circles and 2 defensive deals if this is what I was using. So we're using the offensive board. The mission orders, tile 1 is going to come in. We're going to have tile 1 there, tile 2 here, tile 3 here. All right, we're going to go, I actually think if I remember right, it goes in number order because you're always going to execute left to right. And then this is going to come in under the very first mission tile order here. Your cards will have your solo cards, which again, go see my solo expansion, will sometimes have defaults on them. So you're going to conduct a counter action. Well, this is going to tell you what that counter action is. So it allows the cards that are in play to then generate specific things, offensive, defensive, or even some different kind of feel to your solo firefight. So counteractions are coming in here. Every once in a while, they'll be told, hey, execute a mission order. Oftentimes a mission order is at the very bottom of your solo card base. There's all these little stair steps you're gonna tick off, and sometimes at the end it'll say, hey, you haven't done anything, go do a mission order. And you can see if I can get it in, you know, your mission order is telling you the highest fire point AI. So my unit with the highest firepower, that's often with the Russians is gonna be an SMG unit, that is closest to a Soviet control marker. All right, so it tells you what they are, and then it says first they'll fire at a unit. A unit is always the human player, and then the one that's closest to a control marker, and then you're going to use 2 caps if you've got it. So it's just a way that comes in and really defaults some specific mission criteria, not only based on the fight you have, but on the cards that you have. And then there's always some like mission text that's going to be in here that's going to do some stuff. And then this just allows, if we'd had card 12 in there, you can see it allows here, draw an AI order card, and then it goes on, and I'm not going to read the whole thing to you. You can kind of pause it and read it if you want. But you can see, all right, they're not the same. So the Germans are going to have different things. So very conceivable. You know, you can see, I could see an expansion deck when we finally get Guadalcanal out. Hello, the same system, you could go get some cards for the Japanese. Or maybe it'll come in a future expansion with the Japanese deal, you know, or whatever. So very nice, allows you to really detail your solo firefight, works phenomenally well, and hopefully that kind of explains how that firefight generator works in solo. It's got some nice little cool things that make it unique and help for that replayability in a solo mode. All right, you've seen the cards here. You've seen the little I don't know, it makes me feel like Glory to Rome is what, you know, the little cardboard deal where you're sliding your card in one way or the other, and you're showing the text or the soldiers that you're going to be able to put out on the board. And I love the aspect that you've got some constraints on some of these little generators, these firefight guidelines that'll tell you, hey, just pull these cards. Same system that Academy Games has always used. It kind of baby steps you into it. And then eventually you're maybe just using the guidelines as a general starting point, but you're adding in a bunch more cards, or maybe you're flat out creating a whole new firefight without even using some of the help from the generators. Love it. The conditions that factor in and how you're going to draw 2 of those, and then one you're going to play for the upside, and then you have to play the other card for its little text on the bottom, and how it varies things up and keeps things fresh. You can work in a night fight, snow, mud, sand, dust. Love it, love it, love it. All right, the choices that you have to struggle with. Every good game to me is the choices. Now, I went and played and set up a little bit of a firefight. By the way, the solo thing that's in here, I didn't mention it earlier, in conjunction with this. So now you can go and generate, hey, here's a whole bunch more solo action that's going on with this. It's just giving you that depth that's coming in there. So if you need a refresh, if all the missions and content isn't enough, or you want to game it up a little bit better, bam. All right, the firefight generator. I don't know why I said bam, but I'm just telling you. Caught me off guard. I started reading it and I was like, great, wonderful. So again, I said this with the solo expansion. The only kind of negative I see with this at all, because it's all top-notch components, just like always with Academy games, is that it's got a little bit higher MSRP. It's at 45. And my main gaming partner is already like, wow, I'm glad you got it. I'm like, well, yeah. All right. So that's the only negative I've heard at all. And I don't have any idea where you should put the price point on it. But you'll probably hear a little bit of that here or there. That being said, I bet you they still sell out on all this stuff because everything's in a reprint. Hello, Storms of Steel, bring the 2nd edition in Guadalcanal. Boom, sorry, just slid that in, didn't know what I was saying. See you guys later, Dice Tower Chief. Bye.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at DicetowerNetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.